It's your girl Tiffany, Madam Luscious Black Beauty, your poetic psychic Pisces, High Priestess, aka the light that shines like 8 diamonds. I am here tonight for another one of my story times. Tonight's story time is entitled When a Little Mind Wanders. The Devil Made Me Do It. I do thank each and every one of you for listening and for watching. If you would be so kind to like, share, and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. And without any further ado, we are going to jump in to tonight's story time. But briefly, I would like to give a disclaimer. As always, guys, this is a fictional story. However, it depicts a lot of true events. Okay. This story is not a particular story pertaining to any particular persons. Okay, so I always like to come on and tell you all that before I get started, guys. If some point in time you'll like, share, and subscribe throughout the story, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks y'all for listening and for watching. And without any further ado, we are going to start tonight's story time with Poetic Psychic Pisces, High Priestess. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Instead of treating, we get tricks. Instead of kisses, we get kicks. It's a hard knock life. Sorry, that's my favorite song. Too bad I didn't have a Daddy Warbucks. Hello, my name is Danny Wasteland from Richmond, California, and I'm an orphan, so they tell me. I don't know why that was important to say, but My counselor says that it's good for me to talk about it to help me cope. I don't really care. After all, my parents are gone for good reason. And with family like mine, who needs them anyway? My real parents are no more. But I've been placed with 3 other families. And after only a little while, they all returned me to the orphanage. I tried to tell them it wasn't my fault, but no one ever believed me. I'm only 6 years old and nobody wants me, all because strange things happen around me. When I was only 3 years old, the house burned down with my parents inside. The therapist told me that they were so high on drugs, they never ever even woke up to see the house was on fire. The neighbor seen the flames and saved me. And I overheard the doctor say I was sitting in a playpen with soiled clothes on. I had been in for over 1 month. Sores was all over my body from the neglect, she said. I spent 6 months in the hospital to heal from my injuries. Nowadays, I'm just bounced from one place to another. Right now, I'm some kind of in facility, but it's more like kitty jail. You wouldn't believe the awful things that happen here. The staff use the patients' supposed mental disabilities as a reason to abuse us. But the doctors say I have a high IQ level. Although I've been diagnosed with antisocial disorder, borderline multiple personality disorder, manic episodes, and psychotic tendencies. Whatever that's supposed to mean. But it's a lie, I tell you. These people just find reasons to dope you up on medications and conduct cruel experiments on us because they know most of us here don't have any family to help us. But don't tell them I told you that because I will be punished. I guess now you want to know what happened with the foster families, huh? Well, I better hurry up before Dr. Betsy McMadison and my counselor, Miss Kelly Armstrong, comes back. Foster family number 1. I was placed with this weird family when I was 4 years old. The people were crazy out of their mind and had a house packed full of kids. There were 6 boys and 4 girls, of which I was the youngest. The foster parents were mean and yelling all the time. They acted like they hated us, and I think the only reason that they took in kids was for the money. The dad beat on the mom, and the mom took out all of her anger on all of us. Well, one day, the lady slapped me clear across the face, and something just snapped inside of me because I snuck a snack, but they only fed us once a day, and I was hungry. So when foster mom went for her bath, when all of us kids were supposed to be asleep, I snuck out of the room and to her bathroom. I just stood there in the doorway watching her. And when she seen me, she was mad as hell and began to curse me out. I knew I was in big trouble and she was going to hurt me real bad. So before she got the chance, I pushed her radio in the tub. I watched her being electrocuted, which blew the fuse in the rest of the house. When foster dad ran down the hall, he saw me, snatched me up from behind by my shirt with fiery anger in his eyes, and he held me up in the air and he said, "What did you do, boy?" I just screamed, "Ah! I didn't do it! The devil did it!" The next day, I was picked up by my caseworker, Mr. Philip Morrison, and back to the orphanage I went. Foster family number 2. I was placed with this family when I was 5 years old, and although the foster parents were decent enough, they had older children of their own, 3 of them. And they bullied and abused all of the foster kids, and there was 3 of us. The house was clean, and we had 3 meals a day and 2 snacks a day, which was good. But their 3 kids picked on us all the time. They'd yell at us, punch and kick us around, and if we told our foster parents, the big kids would wait until the foster parents went to sleep and sneak in our room and hurt our private parts. One time, I told on the oldest boy who pushed me off a swing and made me bump my head. He got in big trouble too, so he was mad at me for telling. But when he came into my room that night, I was waiting on him with a hammer. I thought I only hit him twice, but I had actually bashed his face in, breaking his nose and knocking out his teeth. Somehow, one of his eyes even lost out. Blood was everywhere, and the foster family, awakened by all of the screams, horrified, they just called the police. I yelled repeatedly, "I didn't do it! I didn't do it! The devil did it!" When the police arrived, I was taken and placed into custody of my caseworker, Mr. Philip Morrison. I was taken for the first time to the hospital for a mental health evaluation, which is where I stayed until I was 6 years old. Foster family number 3. I was placed with this family 6 months ago. All was well at first, seeing I was the only child. Glad to be out of that mental hospital, but the medication they put me on made me start hearing voices. They got louder and louder, and I felt like demons was controlling my mind. The voices kept telling me to do things I didn't want to do, like feeding the family pets poison and watching it die. And when I started my new school, I pushed the girl off the slide that hurt her real bad. Then the voices started telling me my foster parents were demons trying to kill me. So I started doing things to make them mad or hurt them. I found a whole box full of thumbtacks, and I put them in their shoes just to see them hurt their feet. I also put a bunch of nails in my foster mom's spaghetti. She practically choked to death and was rushed to the hospital, where she stayed about a week to recover. Then I found my foster dad's gun cabinet that he left open by mistake. I only was playing, but I aimed the gun at my foster dad while he was cleaning the car in the garage. The gun went off and hit him right in the chest, and he instantly died. Scared of me after hearing the shots, my foster mom ran to hide in the closet and to call the police and the ambulance. I ran after her with the gun still in my hand. I tried to tell her I didn't do it. It was the devil who did it. She screamed in fear. I don't believe you. Leave me alone. So I dropped the gun as I snapped out of my trance. I went and made me a bowl of cereal and watched cartoons, which is where I was and what I was doing when the emergency services arrived. Needless to say, it's how at 6 years old I've ended up here in kitty jail. Well, the mental institution. But nobody understands. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It's not my fault. The devil made me do it. Oh no, I gotta go. Here comes doctor and my therapist. Shh, don't tell them I told you anything. It's our little secret. I've never told them anything. And because of my age, no one ever really could prove that I did anything. Besides the fact of a lot of tragic situations happened when I was around. But the suspicion was always there, and that's how I ended up here. The authorities always thought maybe someone else in the families who was older did all the most gruesome crimes, but they are aware of my acting out at times and getting into trouble. But nobody could prove I killed anyone, 'cause I didn't do it. The devil did. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's the reason for today's therapy session. Dr. McMatheson and Miss Armstrong say there's a chance of me getting a new foster family. Greetings, Mr. and Miss Satana. My name is Miss Kelly Armstrong, and this is Dr. Betsy McMatheson. We are the primary caregivers here at Reaching New Heights Mental Institution for Danny Wasteland. As we previously discussed, he is currently 6 years old, but as of December 25th, which is in 3 days, he will be 7 years old. Today, we'd like to provide you with a brief overview of Danny's background, as well as discuss permanent placement with your family. However, I must stress the importance about certain information that is confidential pertaining to Danny Wasteland's previous placements. With that being said, I would like to start off by making you aware Danny is a troubled young boy. He has been in state's custody since he was 3 years old. His biological parents were drug addicts whom fell asleep or either passed out while getting high on drugs. Unfortunately, their home burned down with them inside, and Danny just barely escaped the blaze by being saved by a neighbor whom rescued him. Before that incident, Danny suffered a severe abuse, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Danny was often neglected, unfed, which led to malnourishment. Danny wasn't bathed at all and left in soiled and dirty clothes and diapers for weeks to months at a time. At the age of 3 years old, he was not even potty trained yet and could not speak very well. Since then, he has learned to use the restroom on his own, and he has actually progressed very well with schooling, reading, and writing. He actually has quite an high IQ, but there are other issues Danny struggled with. Danny is used to being alone, you see, so he is antisocial. He has struggled with being bullied, which triggers an emotional response of anger, outbursts, and manic behavior, which causes him to react in violence sometimes. Danny is currently on medications for depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, multiple personality disorder, as well as schizophrenia. Furthermore, I must warn you that Danny has complained all his life about hearing voices of the devil and demons. We would suggest homeschool as an educational option because Danny doesn't do well in crowds or groups of people, which is why we chose you, Mr. and Mrs. Satana. Because you all have no other children and can provide the care that Danny needs. In addition, we are suggesting that if you have any weapons of any kind, that you keep those put away from Danny, as well as do you put child safety on everything. Okay? Needless to say, the most we can discuss about Danny's previous placements is some very strange things took place, which resulted in the removal of Danny Wasteland from for him to receive proper treatment. But we feel he is ready for replacement since he is on the proper medications and has received some very vigorous treatments such as shock therapy, reprogramming of the mind, etc. So at this time, we'd like to ask if you have any further questions before making your decision. Narrator. Mr. Stephen Santana sat in silence for a moment as if in deep thought, and then he spake.
Very well. My wife and I can handle this challenge with no problem.
Miss Sonia Santana looked a bit puzzled, tapping her foot as she pierced into the eyes of her husband. Mr. Santana gave her a head nod, and she eagerly replied in reassurance of her husband's response. Just then she said, "Oh, yes, but of course, I believe we can give little Danny the care he has never had before. Just one question, please. Is it required Danny must continue his medications as a condition of his release?" Dr. Betsy McMadison replied, "We would suggest it would be rather wise to do so. Danny has responded well to medical treatment, and it is imperative for him to continue his medication for his as well as your safety." Mr. and Miss Satana looked at one another and said, "Well, we really frown upon the use of medications.
But if you see fit We will comply with your advice, as well do we want to take on the challenge, the responsibility, of caring for Danny Wasteland.
Miss Kelly Armstrong, with much surprise and relief, responded, "Well, great! I'm pleased your family is interested in a permanent placement for orphan. And now, if you'll join me, we would like you to see Danny Wasteland." Narrator. All at once, Mr. Stephen Satana, Miss Sonia Satana, Dr. Betsy Madison, and Miss Kelly Armstrong proceeded to a recreational room which had a double-sided glass mirror. There, they were able to see Danny Wasteland interact while playing without alerting him of their presence. Miss Sonia Satana said, "Well, much to my surprise, he seems to be very mannerable and calm." Mr. Stephen Satana simply replied,
Mm-hmm. So when will he be able to come with us? Rather, when can we take him home?
Dr. Betsy McMadison said, "Well, some paperwork has to be filled out, and we prefer to wait until after his 7th birthday. So how does around the new year sound? In January sometime?" Mr. Stephen Satana.
That sounds just fine. Thank you.
Miss Kelly Armstrong. "Great. We will be in touch with you all as soon as possible." Narrator. The meeting went as planned, and all seemed well. But for some reason, Miss Kelly Armstrong couldn't shake the feeling that something was eerily wrong with Mr. and Miss Satana. She began to worry the closer the date came for Danny Wasteland's release. Nevertheless, she proceeded with the procedure to carry out Danny's discharge. And on January 1st, Danny Wasteland was released from Reaching New Heights Mental Institution into the custody and care of Mr. and Miss Satana. Before their departure, Dr. Betsy McMadison suggested the Satanas that Danny needed to continue therapy sessions twice a month. The Satanas agreed, and they left with little Danny boy. The staff at the mental institution could only hope that Danny wouldn't be at the center of any more tragic events. But 1 month, then 2, and 3 went by with no sign of Danny Wasteland ever again. No medication was refilled, and the Satanas never returned him for his therapy sessions. And when they called to check on the family, come to find out, the number was out of order. What happened to the troubled young boy, Danny Wasteland, whom skin was white as snow, hair and eyes black as coal? Nobody really knows. You see, it seems upon further research, everything Mr. and Miss Satana told the staff at Reaching New Heights was a lie. Indeed, they were wealthy, but no one knew how or where they resided. The phone numbers and address were all fake, yet records were received stating that a total of 66 other children had been placed in their care. Yet none of the young were ever seen or heard from ever again. Legend, rumor has it, the Satanas are notorious Satanists, seeking out the devil's children whom they may devour. A cannibal couple whom lusted for virgin young tender flesh and the pure delight of fresh blood. The children kept in cages until they all
were ritualistically sacrificed upon altars under a full moon and then consumed. It's believed that the Satanists also provided sacrificial lambs, children, to their elite counterparts as well. So it's speculated it won't be long before the Satanists reappear to collect more of the devil's children to add to their growing collection. How could this possibly be? One may wonder. But when you have the connections, riches, and power, as do the Satanists, nothing is impossible. Here, we can only account for the unfortunate missing orphans, but it's no wonder why so many children seemingly vanish and disappear without a trace. Around 800,000 a year. The end. Well, that concludes tonight's story time with Poetic Psychic Pisces, High Priestess. I do hope you all enjoyed the story. If so, please like, share, and subscribe. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. If you all would like to contact me, you can do so at tiffanyziegler60@gmail.com or at tiff.diamond.36@gmail.com. Also, you can reach me by phone at 501-478-8035. If there is anyone who is feeling generous and you would like to donate to the channel, it is also greatly appreciated, and I thank you in advance. You can do so at Cash App, which is $TiffDiamond36, or through PayPal at paypal.me/@36diamond. As I always tell you all, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, but most of all, take care of your babies. It's a wicked world that we live in. There is wickedness in high places, and there is evil that is lurking around every corner, even in a neighborhood near you. So watch your surroundings. Watch the company you keep. Watch the surroundings and the company in which your children are in as well. And since you never know when someone may betray you or backstab you, keep some protection on you. Y'all stay awake, stay aware, stay vigilant, and stay prepared. Because if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready, baby. Until the next time, peace, love, and light. Namaste. I am that I am, created in the image of God.